Howdy everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Stefan. This is the French Cooking Academy, the place to be if you want to learn how to cook like a French chef. Now, first thing I would say is, tada, look at this new location in France, new studio for this month. We are in the town of near Revel, and it is a bit of foodie town in France. It's got one of the most beautiful markets, so plenty of good food to come. That's gonna be exciting. Now, for today, we're going to be talking about soups because many of you asked me to do something about soup. Now in French cuisine we've got three types or three ways of making soups. So we're going to explore this and we're going to do one practice making a mushroom cream or crème de champignon. All the details and recipe coming up. And welcome back. So let me start by saying that soups in French cuisine are extremely complex. And the explanation of how to make those can be really confusing. So I did mention that there is three main categories of soups, right? The first one we've seen already on the channel is the consomme, aka the clear soups. Link in the video description if you want to see that recipe and how to make it. Move on to the second one. The second types of soup that exist in French cuisine are the puree-based soup that we haven't touched on yet, and we're not gonna do this today. So that's just for your information. And the third types are the roux-based soup. This is the category we're going to start to concentrate on today. Why are they called roux-based soup? Because the base of the soups of these always use a roux, which is a mix of flour and butter. And this is what you use usually to make a bechamel or a velouté. And the particularity of today's soup, all the creams, basically, they use a bechamel as a base. This is why it's called a roux-based soup. And because we've seen the bechamel before, it is the perfect exercise. So what we're going to learn today is how to make, we're going to learn the base technique on how to create the base of that soup so that you can make at home any type of cream you want. So we're not just doing the crème de champignon for the sake of just doing that one. Once you know the technique, you're going to be able to make basically a cream of anything. A cream of carrot, a cream of asparagus, a cream of poultry meat if you want, anything. Okay, so how does it work? Basically, that crème de champignon today is not that complex. We're gonna make a clear bechamel that we're gonna mix with a duxelle or a puree of mushroom. We're then gonna try to blend it, pass it through a sieve, and then further dilute our soups with some delicious crème fraiche, maybe a little bit of milk, and some salt and pepper, maybe a bit of parsley, and we should have our soups ready, which should be tasting very good. So that's the recipe of the day. Complicated, but bear with me, once you see it in the video, it's not that bad. And now let's start our recipe or our culinary techniques of the day. So for the food prep and the ingredients, everything would be listed in the video description as always. And so I've weighed everything. This is for the roux, the butter, the flour. You're gonna finely chopped some shallots. I've got some crème fraiche here, some milk. This is what we're gonna be using as a diluting agent instead of stock. I've got my onion, nutmeg, and bay leaf for the bechamel. And this is the important. I'm using the flavoring of mushroom today for my cream. I take the whole mushrooms. I just trimmed a little bit of the top here. So this is the original one. And I've just cut a little piece like that to make it clean, and I'm chopping it afterwards into that kind of size. A rough chop, but quite thin enough so that it can really release all the juices. When your food prep is ready, we're going to start by making our bechamel. Today we are seeing how to make a clear bechamel or a light bechamel, which is something we haven't done. And this is a type of very thin bechamel you're going to be using for soups, for roux-based soups. So as always, we start with the roux, melt the butter, and as soon as the butter is melted, we're going to add the flour in. My butter is now melted. Put all the flour in and mix it in. Today I'm using 40 grams of flour and 40 grams of butter for 800 ml of milk. Once your compound is in, you're going to leave it to cook on medium-low heat for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, and this is what I've got, my roux is cooked. I'm going to turn the heat off and leave this on the side of the stove to cool down while we start the mushrooms. Right, so as soon as your roux is ready, it's cooling down, we're going to start with the mushrooms. I like to use an oversized pan when I'm doing this because a mushroom can take a lot of space. So butter first, about 50 grams. When it's melted, we're going to start by sweating the shallots. Again, we're not burning anything or having huge coloration, and we're just putting a little bit of flavor in our butter. That's the first step. Okay, so got a nice smell of shallot. There's no coloring in there, and immediately we're going to put 500 grams of mushroom. Look at that. Look how many, the space they're taking, the mushrooms. That's quite impressive. So you just blend them in the butter. Yeah. And let them sit 1 or 2 minutes, and then we're gonna season the whole lot. 1 or 2 minutes later, I'm gonna put a good, 1 or 2 pinch of salt in there, a little bit of pepper, and the aromas you have in here, and they're just light shallots, buttery smells, and you've got your mushrooms, so it's nothing like burn or acidic or anything like that. So really medium heat is good, so that you start to have the whole mix starting to release the water, and that's what we want. We want to get that kind of essence of mushroom going. And now that the mushroom are releasing their water gently on the side, we're going to start to warm up the milk. This bechamel, I like to use the flavored milk technique. So again, I'm using here 800 ml of milk. That's going to be the base of our soup, the bechamel. So start with the milk, 1 or 2 bay leaf, half onion with cloves in it, just to give some flavoring, little bit of salt, little bit of pepper. You can use white pepper or only have black pepper. And I'm going to put a grating of nutmeg. Okay, a bit of nutmeg. Oh my god. That has to be the worst grater on the planet. When all the ingredients are in, turn the heat on. Medium heat, medium to high. You can use medium, and you're going to gently bring the milk to the boil. So we're just going to wait until it brings the boil. When it reaches the boil, you turn the heat off and you leave it to infuse for a good 5 minutes. And now back to the mushroom. Now look at that. This is, I'm going to reduce the heat now. When it's to that stage, you can reduce the heat to medium-low. 500 grams of mushrooms totally disappears. I guess at the bottom of the pan only. That has the mushroom. So I'm going to leave, you see there's a bit of water at the bottom. I'm going to leave that to reduce gently, so low heat. It takes some time. So it's going to take a good 10 minutes, and we're going to wait until there's basically almost no water left. Okay, as you can see, my onion is starting to dance a little bit, and that's the sign, that's how I know it's starting boiling. So immediately I'm going to turn that heat off and put the heat totally off under the milk, and I'm going to leave this to rest for 5 minutes, and that's the infusion time, and to give the time of the onion, the cloves, and the bay leaves to diffuse a bit more in there. And now for the mushroom. Sorry about the big zoom I had to do here, but you see, if you look at the bottom of the pan here, there's no juice, and it's really just started to attach. It's just start to dry. That's what you want. So there's still a little bit of water, a little bit of humidity in the mushrooms, but you don't want to go any further than that. So I'm going to turn the heat off totally, and same thing, just leave this to rest. Now it just gives me the time to tell you a little bit about the other vegetables you could use. And here we are. So for our crème de champignon or mushroom cream, we've got the base that's going here. This is for the bechamel. We've got the roux and the milk, and this is the puree that I've decided to use, which is going to be a puree of mushrooms. Now the reason I've done that is that this is the exception on how you prepare the puree compared to the other vegetables. Any other vegetables than mushroom has to be boiled in salty water before for 10 minutes. So to give you a recap, if I was doing a puree of carrot, I would have peeled my carrot, cut my carrot, I would have boiled them first in water with salt for 10 minutes, then drain them out of the water, and then do the stage that I did with the mushroom here. So I would have taken my carrots pre-boiled, put them in a pan with butter, with shallot, cook them for 10 minutes, the same way we did the mushrooms, and then they would be ready to be pureed. Now that the explanation is out of the way, let's make the bechamel. So I've got my roux that's cooled down here. I don't have another pan, so what I'm going to do, the heat is off, and I'm going to put some of the boiling milk and start to dilute my roux with the warm milk like that. So you can use another pan if you want, but I don't have one. So I'm just gonna put a little milk in here to detach all of the roux and then pour it back in my main pan with the milk. Okay, so as I said, I've got my main milk here that I had. I put the heat on, and this is the mix I've just made, you see, with the roux and the bechamel. So I'm gonna really detach everything, put a little bit more milk in there, but the idea is you just put all of the roux in the milk here, and we're gonna warm this up and bring this gently again to the boil while continuously stirring. Okay, so from now on, it's very important. Got the mushrooms, and you need a nice sieve like that. And we're gonna start filtering and filtering. So the bechamel's got plenty of bits. I've removed the onion, the bay leaf and everything, but you don't want the crumbs or anything that's left. We want something clean. So we're gonna be passing this first. When you're finished, this is what you're getting. A clear bechamel, nice and warm, and that we're gonna mix with our mushrooms. Now from here, we're gonna have to blend the mushrooms with the bechamel sauce. There's two ways to do this. You can use a stick blender. I'm gonna try that, even though there's not much depth to this. Otherwise, you can use like these kind of manual presses, or in French it's called the moulin à légumes. It's like a vegetable mill that you can turn like that. That's the best solution if you have one. I don't have one, so I'm gonna use a stick blender. Once you're done with the blending, you end up with that kind of mixture. And it's the bechamel mix with the mushrooms. And of course, because I like to work in a clean manner and for you on the camera is better, I've cleaned my pan here, and we're gonna have to do another filtering, meaning we're gonna be passing all of the bechamel again through the sieve and press it down with a spoon to make sure we extract everything, leave the bits of mushroom and extract just the clean bechamel or the mushroomy cream base. Pooh, that was hard. So I'm done, and this is the result. Now, if you're at home, of course, if you get a hand blender, you can also skip that filtering through the sieve, which is really Escoffier method to really get the best thing you can. But otherwise, honestly, you can just, throw in all the mushrooms. So that could be the same mix with kind of bigger pieces of mushroom. So from here, we're gonna put the heat on medium to start. And basically this is how base. We've got the puree of mushrooms in there with the bechamel, and we're just gonna add a little bit, it's usually 50 ml, a little bit of milk to get some liquidity into our soup, because remember it's a soup. And as it warmed up, the only thing left to do is to add cream up to 20 or 200 milliliters of crème fraîche. So that is about this amount. So there's a pretty good amount. So I'm gonna start and put my crème fraîche and keep it slowly to raise up in temperature. And we are done. I've added all of the cream and the milk. Very important, by the way, do not add extra milk or extra cream, because the taste of the mushroom, that intense mushroomy flavor, might not be as strong. So the only thing that's left to do, let me try a little bit here. That is mushroomy. I think it needs a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of hint of pepper, a bit more there. Okay, and yeah, but that's it really. Look at that. Wow, that's amazing. Crème de champignon, Escoffier style, and this is the consistency you can expect. You see, it is very thick and creamy. And look at these bits of mushrooms. Oh, it's delicious. I'm gonna leave it to cook for 5 minutes on very, very low heat, and then I'm gonna serve a bowl. Okay, and now for the last step, I've got just a little bowl to try that soup, and I'm gonna try to pour it in, and this is a cream of mushroom, and I'm gonna show you how I like to eat it, like we do it in France. Nudge of butter, and I'm gonna pour this in, and to add some extra creaminess and softiness. As you can see, it's very, very thick, and I like to add also a little bit of parsley in there. That's my personal favorite, to be honest. And you see this nudge of butter floating around there, and just that hint of parsley is kind of start to go through, but it's going to diffuse some kind of nice parsley flavor. I'm going to get rid of that one so we can concentrate on that. And that's it. So let me try that goody soup. Wow. Honestly speaking, really, you can really taste the mushroom. It's creamy, it's mushroomy, just enough cream so you get that creaminess in the background with a bit of butter and parsley. If you love mushrooms and you like soup, this is absolutely stunning. But that completes the video, guys. Thank you for watching again. And don't forget, if you want to follow me on Instagram, hashtag French Cook Academy, and you can also become a patron on my Patreon page. It's always much appreciated. I'll leave you again with the beautiful mushroom cream picture. I really enjoyed it today. And I see you all for my next recipe next time. See you all. Bye-bye.